Okay, so I need to pay for my T-Rex. What, the food? Yeah, I don't have any. So what happens now? Not the Triceratops. Oh no, he killed the Triceratops. No, not the raptor pen. Not the raptor pen. Uh-oh, raptor's out. Okay, so now my raptor's loose and my T-Rex is loose, right? What happens now? Oh geez, this isn't looking good at all. Uh-oh. Oh no, please, not the pterodactyls as well. Okay, so pterodactyls, they don't kill people, right? And the pterodactyl's killing everyone. Oh, excellent. Now the raptors are in the hotel. Hello and welcome to All Around the Board. Today we're going to be taking a look at Dinogenics. Dinogenics is a 1 to 5 player game that takes roughly 2 hours to play. It's a worker placement game involving dinosaurs. What more could you want? In today's video, I'll be showing you how the game works, how to set it up, how to play it. At the end I'll give you some more information about the game and then I'll give you my final thoughts. So sit back, relax and check out some awesome dinosaur meeples. This is the how to play section of the video. What I will be doing is telling you how to set the game up. As you can see, I have it all laid out very nicely here. But before we start, I have a little something just over to the side here. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'm going to do the expansion, but I need at least 50 likes on this one before I'm going to do this one. So what you need to do is you need to subscribe, you need to share this content and make sure that people see it so we can get the 50 likes to get that expansion filmed as well. But anyway, let's get on with how to set up the game. So the first thing you want to do is you want to get the main board and just lay it in the middle there. Get this sideboard here and just pop it over to one side. This will be the reputation tracks and how many meeples we're going to get per turn. Just over to the side, pop your mutants, your goats, your visitors, your dice, your money, everything just over to one side so it's in a supply. As you can see, I've had to use some trays just to keep it really nice and condensed because there's a lot of gear in this game. Then each player will get one player board. Each player will then get 4 fences and they can lay them how they like, although the rulebook just suggests to do that with them for now. Each player then takes all their meeples in their colour. Now, depending on if you're playing 2 or 3 player or 4 or 5 player, depends on how many you get. So in this video, I'm going to be demoing a 2-player game. So we get 4 meeples in our active, and there is 1 to the side. If you're playing 4 or 5 player, you would start with 3 in your active and 1 to the side. Now, the 1 to the side is because later on in the game, you will get the extra meeple to play with. Okay, then you need to get your player colour cube and just pop it in the 0 here. This keeps track on the points per round for your dinosaurs, so you don't have to keep counting it. So this is really handy down the bottom. Then each player's colour will go on the reputation track just in the 0 space. And then randomly decide a player order. Now to start with, decide a first player and then go around the board clockwise by putting their player pieces in there. But for the first round, and because it's 2 player, we could just put it in that order there. And get your victory point marker and pop it on the 0 space. Each player can take a reference card, which is double-sided, but for this video I've got either side so they are visible on the video. Depending on the number of players, depends on if you use the A side or the B side of this track. And what this will do is it will tell you the active and the upcoming round, and it will tell you what's going to happen in terms of visitors coming to your park. And depending on your player count, depends on if you need to cover some of the spaces. So some of these have got a 3+ and a 4+. Because we're playing 2-player, we need to cover those up. If we were playing a 3-player game, we would uncover those. And you can see across the board, there are worker spaces that are unavailable because of our player count. The next thing you need to do is shuffle the manipulation deck and just pop it onto the space indicated here. Shuffle the DNA cards and pop them onto the DNA deck space here. Then shuffle the breaking news cards and you can put that on the breaking news deck and make sure you deal 1 into the upcoming so you know what is going to be happening on the next turn. Nothing happens in the first turn though. Then from the DNA deck you're just going to deal 3 cards into the DNA market, and again from the DNA deck you're going to deal 4 cards here into the boneyard. Take all of the hotel tiles, which are all the same, they all house 2 guests, and pop them on the left hand side here. And then from the bag, which you'll see here, is full of lots and lots of tiles. Maybe you can't see in there, but never mind. But draw 3 out and pop them onto these 3 spaces. Once everything there is set up, make sure each player gets 3 DNA cards each and 1 manipulation card. And then finally each player receives a number of credits depending on the player order board over here, and that will be shown in the rulebook. And just for a bit of fun, I have laid out one of each of the meeple types that you get here. So these are the dinosaurs you get, including the mutant ones, which are personally my favourite. And then you've got this represents food, it's a coat, and this represents your visitors, which is just an ordinary meeple. Before we start the how to play, I'd just like to note that this is a really deceiving game. It looks a lot, there's a lot going on, but at its core, it's a really simple worker placement. So I'm going to go through everything you do throughout the game, and you'll see just really how easy it is. So what we'll do for this video is we're going to follow this card here, and this will tell you everything you need to do to successfully pull off a turn. Now, in the first season, it says skip 1 to 4. So we're not going to do that in the first season. We'll come back to that in a minute. You'll notice that number 5, it says refresh the city centre facility stacks, which are these 3 here, which we set up at the beginning of the game. And then it says on here, number 6, in player order, take turns placing one worker until no workers remain. So what that means is going in this order. Orange is going to place a worker, then yellow, then orange, then yellow, and we've got 4 workers each. So as simple as that, we're going to be placing the workers. Where are we going to be placing them? Well, you'll notice up here, anywhere there is a circle, these are spaces that you can go to. So there's quite a few across the board, but actually their actions aren't too in depth. This is probably the most complicated space, so we'll go through that one last. When you place a worker in this space here, you simply get 3 goats from the supply. So over here, you'll get yourself 3 goats, and this is food used to feed your carnivores. If you place a worker in site A, you draw 2 cards from the DNA deck. When you place a worker in site B, you will draw 3 cards and discard 2. This is from this deck again, but this time, instead of just drawing 2, you actually get to choose one of the 3. So you get fewer cards, but it's of your choice. When you go to the boneyard, you will firstly take a scandal token, and then you can pick any one of the DNA cards from the boneyard without paying its cost. When you place a worker in the ferry space, you get 3 credits. When you go to the timeshare space, you get 1 credit and 1 visitor. And we'll go over visitors later on in the video. When you go to the agency space, you will draw 2 manipulation cards from here. And you will also get rid of a scandal token if you have one in front of you. When you go to the uplink space, you will simply play a manipulation card from hand. When you go to the Dinogenics IOM, you can turn in some cards. These are DNA cards that you collected from various places, and you can spend them from hand. If you've got a complete set, you place a dinosaur, or 3 mixed, place a mutant. So what does it mean by that? In the top right hand corner of a DNA card is a number. That is how many of the same card you will need to turn in to complete that set. So for example here, a raptor requires 2 cards from my hand. I can play those, and I can simply go ahead and grab a raptor from the supply, and I can put it into my park. There will be some rampage if you don't place them properly, but in this case, this is absolutely fine for my raptor to sit. Alternatively, you can play 3 mixed cards to place a mutant. So 3 of any card will go into the spent deck, and I get a mutant, which is this token here, and that can go again into my park, hopefully not rampaging either. When you place a dinosaur into a pen, you're going to come over to here and check to see how many points you get and how much reputation it gives. Now, you don't get the points straight away, you get them at the end of the round, but you can use this as your dinosaur value. So this is worth 4, so I just top this up to 4. If I had another dinosaur, so let's say I had the Stegosaurus, and I know he's not in a pen, but ignore that for now. If I had a Stegosaurus, that would also be worth 3 points. And rather than me keep totaling up every round, I just use this track to keep track on how many points overall I'm going to get. You will also check to see how much reputation you get for that animal. So I've placed a raptor, I get 2 reputation, and I would go up 2 on that track. On the right hand side of your player board is a reference to all the dinosaurs that you can place in your park. On the far right hand side there is a number with a green symbol. That is how many spaces that dinosaur will take in your park. So for example, the T-Rex requires 3 spaces in a pen. So to note that the reference card has a dinosaur trait reference for more details on the individual dinosaurs. Outsource allows you to pay 2 money and you can use an occupied space. So for example, site A here is full up, so orange can pay 2 money and then do the action of site A. And finally, the big space. When you go here, you can perform 2 different actions. So this one is kind of 4 actions in one, but you can do 2 of them. So let's start off with the action, use the market. So what you can do is you can come down here to the DNA market and you can either buy or sell one of the cards. So I can buy this card for 4, and then with the 2 money discount in this slot, that will actually cost me 2. This one will cost me 6, and this one will cost me 3, because that's the buy cost. Or I can sell to the market. So say if I had this pterodactyl here, I can sell to the market for 4. What I would do is I would push these cards along. This card will come off and go into the boneyard, and these will move along, which will then make the T-Rex slightly cheaper. You can also pay 2 money to get 3 fences. So 2 money, and then you come over to here and you can pick up 3 fences from the supply. Now, whilst doing this action, you are allowed to move existing fences into different areas so you can make pens bigger. This is the only time that you can move fences and move dinosaurs. So if I had dinosaurs as well, I could rearrange those. The next action on there is purchase a facility. So on here, I can either buy one of the 8 hotels, or I can purchase one of these 3 on the face up. Now in later rounds, we will put tiles over the top of them, but for now, these are the ones that are available. Depending on their colour, if they're a green background or a grey background, depends on where they go on the board. So for example, this one and this one would go into my park area, and this side will go into my commercial buildings over here. And also any hotels that you purchase will also go into the commercial zone over here as well. Finally, the repair facility. So there may be situations later in the game where you have a face down tile that has been damaged by a potential dinosaur that got let loose. So for 3 money, you can pay to flip a facility back up. So you'll still get in-game points and it will still have its purpose. As soon as all players have placed all their workers, we then go into the upkeep phase. So here it says feed all carnivores. So I will come over to here and I will have to feed my carnivores. On the right hand side, it tells me how many goats we need to spend. So in this example, I have 1 raptor and 1 T-Rex and a mutant. So looking at my food, I've only got the 2 goats. I can't feed all of them. The mutant is optional. If I feed it, it will breed. If I don't, it doesn't do anything. And it's in a suitable enclosure. So that's fine. I don't have to worry about him. Now, I've only got the 2 goats. Between these 2, we need 3. Ideally, I don't want the T-Rex to rampage because he's going to be rolling 2 of these die. So that's bad news. So for this example, we're going to spend the 2 goats and we're going to feed the T-Rex. And he's in a suitable enclosure there. However, the raptor, even though he's in a suitable enclosure, I didn't feed him, so now he's going to rampage. So I'd roll this die and see what I get. If I rolled the smiley face, which I did, nothing happens. Now, there's only 1 of those on this die, so that was pretty lucky to roll for this example. But say I rolled the slash there, now that would destroy a fence or a nearby building. Because it's an enclosure, it will destroy a fence, and it will try and go anywhere it can possibly get to the nearest building. So in this sense, in fact, it would be this one here, because this is my nearest building, which is the hotel. In addition to the raptor roll, if I rolled that, a raptor would also cause 1 guest fatality. I don't have any guests, luckily, in this example, but if there were, then I'd be in trouble. If I rolled this result, not only will it damage a structure, and not only will it cause a fatality, but I will also get a scandal token. This is the worst result you could possibly roll. Then on step 3, it says return visitors to the general supply, 3 VP for every 2. We haven't gone over visitors yet, but we will do on the next round. Then you gain victory points and any seasonal resources from dinosaurs and facility tiles. So if I had any facilities in play, they might give me some points per round. In this example, I have no facilities. But I will also score for my dinosaurs. So down here we tracked that I've got 4 points for this one raptor. So I'll come over to the score track and I'll give myself the 4 points. In step 5, we return workers to their own park, so they will go back into my active supply just there. We would then advance the visitor overlay. So we would move this over just the one, so that active goes on to season 2 now. And then step 7 is continue to the open season. So now we go right back up to the top here. And because we're on season 2, we can now tell you what step 1 to 4 does. So step 1 is determine the player order based on the reputation. So we come over to here and we look at our reputation. Orange is on 0 and yellow is on 2. So we simply flip these around so that now yellow will be going first, then orange. If we had another player, say on the 1, it would go yellow, the 1, and then there's the orange there. Step 2 is assign visitors based on player order. So we come up to here, and because we're playing a 2-player game, we look at the player 1 and the player 2. Player 1 and player 2 both receive 2 visitors. So we would get 2 visitors in our hotel. Then starting with the first player, they get to choose 2 bonus visitors. What this will do is the first player gets to choose 2 visitors from those if they have any rooms. So in this example, yellow could take 2 bonus, but there is no hotel extra. So then it goes on to the orange player because they are next in player order. And you come over to here and they do have a hotel. So they can take 1 of them. Only the first player can take 2 bonus. The next player and onwards can only take 1. Now because there are no other players, this player will also get the second bonus visitor. But if we had a third player in play, they would have got the extra 1 instead of this player here. Then step 3 is receive 1 credit per visitor in your park. So this player here has 4 visitors and they will receive 4 money. And this player here has only 2 visitors, so they only get 2 money. And then finally, step 4, resolve the newsroom track. So we would move any that is in the upcoming into the active, and we would deal another card into the upcoming. So we have to resolve this now. If you have 2 or more occupied hotels, resolve a rampage check for a dinosaur in your park. So, if this were the case, these 2 hotels are both occupied, so we'd have to do a rampage check. But luckily, I haven't got any dinosaurs in my park yet. If I did, I would then have to roll the rampage die. So these are events that happen that can go horribly wrong as you play. And then step 5, you will refresh the city centre facilities. So we did do this on the first turn where we dealt them out. On this one, we go into the bag and we would deal 1 tile on top of these, which will cover the ones underneath. What will happen is if I buy this one, the other one underneath then becomes available for other players. But they simply just stack on top. And then step 6, we just repeat again where we place workers out until all 4 have been spent. Now it's worth noting that as you play on season 4, you will also get an extra worker into your supply. So you would take the spare worker, and then from season 4, you'll actually have 5 workers to play with throughout the game. And if you were playing with 4 or 5 players, you would only have 4 workers to play. So as a general overview, you keep repeating these steps until the marker up here at the end of season 7, if it moves active into the end game scoring. At this point, you are going to score points for whatever you have in your park. At the end of the game, you will score lots of points for different things. So the first thing you will score is on buildings. You'll notice there's a small point value just in the bottom right hand corner. So in this example, I'll get 1, 2, 3 points. There are buildings with more points, but just so happens that in this example, they've all got 1 point each. Then you will score 3 points for every different type of animal you have in your park. So in this example, I have 3, 6, 9, but you must make sure that they are housed happily and that they haven't gone on a rampage. So for example, if in the last round, my raptor had had a rampage and this was gone, this would not be in a suitable enclosure, and then because of that, neither would this, because the Bronchiosaurus wants an open area, but also cannot share with another creature. So in this sense, these 2 will not be happy, and I'd only score 3 points for this one. Then you will score 1 point per 3 money you have at the end of the game. So in this sense, I've got 8, I get 1 for that, and none for the 2 extras. This is just spare. Then you're going to score points for DNA cards in hand. So for every 2 you have left in hand is 1 point. In this example, I have 3, so this will get me 1 point, but unfortunately the spare one will just go. And finally, the scandal tokens. For every scandal token you have is minus 6 points, so try and get rid of these as much as you can throughout the game. Oh, phew, there we go. There was a lot going on there. I realise this is a huge game, but honestly, it's such a good game. It's so easy to play. I hope you guys enjoyed that part of the video. Before I start with everything good I want to say about this game, I'm just going to note just one personal gripe I have about this game. Now, this is the best example I can give. If, say, for example, this dinosaur rampaged and this dinosaur rampaged, the T-Rex does not eat the herbivore. I don't understand. Well, because in any dinosaur movie, that T-Rex would eat that. But no, the T-Rex will skip that, which is bigger, and go straight for the guests. Mechanically, it works because it's to do with points. But thematically, I think, you know, that should go. Okay, so let's talk about this absolutely amazing game. It's a 1 to 5 player game. Now, there are fewer actions you can do when you're playing 4 to 5 players, but it doesn't take away from the player interaction that you'll have, especially with those manipulation cards. Now, the box does say 90 minutes. I would actually say it's probably more 2 to 3 hours, especially if you're going to play with more players. I played a 3-player game of this, and it did take about 2.5 hours. However, that could be sped up when you're not looking through the rulebook so much, and I think if you've got a few players that are quite au fait with the game, then I think that time will definitely go down more to the 90-minute mark. This game is not overly complex. The actions are really straightforward. The symbology of the actions themselves are so easy to follow that you can't ever forget. The only thing is keep having to refer back to the reference cards to find out what animal does what. But again, after you've played quite a few times, I think you'll get used to those dinosaur traits. But my final thoughts on the game, yes, I did say a minute ago that I absolutely love it. At first, when I started playing it, it was a little bit bland. There wasn't a lot happening. It took me 2 rounds to get a dinosaur. This was my very first game, by the way. And it just didn't do anything for me at first, but I stuck through it. Then I saw the end game scoring and saw the different ways, or the different paths I could have gone down. Played it again, and I'm in love with this game. This is finally a dinosaur game that I enjoy, so that's big for me. Jurassic Park is an all-time favourite film for me, so it's nice to have a good dinosaur game that actually has quite a bit of theme. The only thing that bothers me is what you saw earlier. T-Rex is not eating other animals. Oh, it's crazy. But that aside, that's only a minor thing that I don't like. The rest of the game, fantastically designed, easy to play, hard to master, but an absolute diamond of a game. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, guys, if you would like to see the Dinogenics control chaos, please leave a like on this video. I'm looking for 50 likes before I record this one. So go ahead, share this video, share it to your friends. Let me know what you think of in the comments below, but get those likes on so I can do the expansion. In the meantime, I will be doing some solo games of this. There are some solo scenarios which are very thematic in story, so I'm really intrigued in doing those. Once they're done, I'll post them in a link in the description below. Comment below if you've had any experience with Dinogenics, or if you've purchased it based on this recommendation. Pop a comment just below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please consider checking out my Patreon page, where for as little as £1 you can support me making these videos. And don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter and on Instagram. On there I've got lots of discussions going on different games, specifically about this one at the moment. There's lots of pictures on Instagram going on of this because I just cannot stop photographing it. But yes, follow me on those social media sites. And more important than all of that is you guys need to subscribe to my channel, because the more subscribers, the more support I get, and the more videos like this I can make. But in the meantime, I will say goodbye. As always, I will catch you on the next video.